my automatic thought goes straight to the stupid automatic when you call in customer service, like, where would you like to call for this or this or this?
Yes.
And I end up saying, agent, agent, over and over again. And I want to physically hurt somebody.
I think so. Is our tool for our toolbox anger management today, Jess?
For Jess, yes.
I'm not really good at the work-life balance.
Oh, I know. That's going to be a really fun episode to do with you.
Welcome to the Mental Health Janitors, where we help you clean up the mess in your head. I'm your host, Sgt Q, and with me as always, Doc Jess.
Welcome.
All right, you guys, we have a fun episode for you guys. We're going to be talking about self-care. And so everything in this episode revolves around taking care of yourself so that way you can take care of others, your family, your friends, and your community. So we'll talk about self-care and the difference between being selfish and providing self-care. We'll make that differentiator for you guys.
What specifically what self-care is and what self-care is not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about some new advancements around self-care and how you guys can use that in your self-care journey. Then we'll talk about some really cool scriptures that back up a lot of what we're talking about when it comes to taking care of yourself. And then our new tool for the toolbox, what's that going to be, Jess?
That's going to be kind of a self-care assessment. So you can see where you're at with different categories and see what you maybe do some inventory on what is important for you in your life, what is less important, prioritize that, and where we can improve taking care of ourselves so that, again, like you said, we can be best for those around us.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's do our card.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
You remember.
Yes, I remember.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Here comes the card.
Here comes the card.
Okay. I've been on a bit of a losing streak here. Lost 2 in a row.
How much power would you need to simulate the human brain?
Like 66 gigawatts? Oh, how much power? Okay, to simulate the human brain? I don't even know how to measure the power. I need Marcus in here to give me like a power measurement tool.
Marcus who?
Cola. He's an electrician.
Phone a friend? Ooh, let's phone a friend. Call him.
I can't. My phone's on airplane mode.
Turn it off. Okay, pause. That's fun.
Put it on speaker.
Yeah. You know his number by heart? I'm so nosy.
Thank you.
Hey, Marcus, you're on speaker, and you're on my podcast right now. Hello?
Hello?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you hear me? I said you're on speaker and we're recording you on my podcast.
Oh, okay.
We have a question for you, Marcus.
I have a question. Go ahead and ask the
Alrighty.
question.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Marcus?
I can hear you loud and clear.
How much? Okay, so we do this word teaser every day, and Q is choosing to phone a friend for this one. So the question is, how much power would you need to simulate the human brain?
Would we be talking about like watts or?
That would be, well, I mean, power is watts. Yes. So is this in regards to like an electrical circuit? Do they give you, is it a multiple choice? What is this?
No, you just got to know it. Random knowledge.
So how many watts, how much power does it take to, I'm sorry, say that one more
Simulate the human brain.
Wasn't this on the Matrix?
So if you were going to have the same power output, a human brain puts out how much power output?
Well, I did hear someone just say it in the background, but yes, 100%. The Matrix did talk about but it was in regards to volts, because it showed the 9-volt battery.
Oh. But volts is different.
Correct. It would be volt amps is what watts what it is typically. So shoot. I would say let's go 600 watts.
600 watts? Okay.
Yeah.
A simulation using standard computer chips requires 10 megawatts, the amount of power generated by a small hydroelectric power plant. Fortunately, we only need about 25 watts to power our brains. Otherwise, think about the electric bill.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. So 25 watts?
25 watts.
That's like, think about, you need 60 watts for like the lowest level light bulb.
Dude, these are 100
No, well, if you're looking at incandescents, they've got 40 watt and 35 watt.
But that's like a candle.
Yes.
This says specifically Sgt Q is 25 watts. The rest of humanity is 600. Nailed it.
Awesome. Thanks for...
That's relatively low. That's really cool. Thank you for the knowledge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Marcus.
You guys have a great evening.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
That was fun.
That was fun.
All right. Well, that was fun.
I wasn't even sure how to measure it. Watts, volts, amps. But okay, so watts.
Yeah.
40 watts. No, 25 watts.
25. 40 for us, 25 for you.
Man. All right. See, I told you I wasn't that smart. I'm losing.
Okay. No. Yeah. Well, let's talk about our current event.
Yes. So our current event, we were looking, there's a lot of news articles that have been coming out. There's not one specifically. Well, you could look at one specifically, but there's a lot of articles coming out talking about self-care. During COVID, everybody really struggled with mental health. And now post-COVID, people have been having to jump back into the workplace, feeling very overwhelmed, having to almost kind of make up for lost time because it really slowed down the economical development of our countries and our businesses. So everybody is running at full speed, trying to get back on pace. And now we're falling into this overworked, overstimulated area of life. And so self-care is now becoming really, really important because we had this long time of slowing where we were at home, not really doing anything. And then post-COVID, everything really ramped up super fast. And so we're still trying as a society to find a balance between work and life. And that's where the idea of self-care comes in.
Sure. Well, and it is a current event. It's, we've only heard that, what's the word? Like not a trigger word, but like a hot word or the word self-care is relatively new to our society. I mean, in the last 10 years, we started talking about it. A buzzword. There you go. And it's very convoluted, the idea of self-care, right? Because especially as Christians, we're taught die to self, die to self, die to self. Think of others higher than you, right? And that's all very true. So how do we unpack what this self-care looks like and how to appropriate it to actually our faith beliefs and have it be a healthy addition to our lives instead of a hindrance?
First, we need to have a differentiation between self-care and selfishness. And so here's a couple examples. Self-care would be making sure that you're getting your 7 or 8 hours of rest. That's self-care. Selfishness would be staying in bed longer than you needed to be able to avoid responsibilities that you have.
Yes.
That's the difference between self-care and selfishness. Another good example would be going and buying healthy, nutritious food is self-care. Selfishness is spending your entire weekly budget going out to a steakhouse and now you don't have enough food to get through the rest of the week.
Right.
That's self-care versus selfishness. So there's a balance there. And for each person, it's going to be a little bit different, but that same thread runs through all of it. And we all know deep down, we know when we're doing things that are selfish or self-care. So we are the best judge of that within ourselves.
Right. And we're not really in like the mix of media and celebrities and things like that, but celebrities throw out these self-care words when they're out shopping and things like, oh, I'm practicing self-care or whatever. And like, that's not self-care, especially if you don't have the resources to take care of yourself in that way.
One of the things I thought was really interesting, and this came from the NAMI website, and they talked about this study they did where 1 in 4 people felt really guilty or ashamed of providing self-care for themselves.
1 in 4?
1 in 4. 1 in 4. So 25% of the population feels excessively guilty or ashamed by providing self-care.
I would be interested to dissect that even further and ask that 25% what their definition and understanding of self-care is.
Right.
Yeah, that would be interesting to me. I also read in a Southern New Hampshire University study that engaging in self-care routine, it's been clinically proven with them to reduce or eliminate anxiety and depression, reduce stress, improve concentration, minimize frustration and anger, increase happiness, and improve energy. Right. So if it's doing all of those things, it's making you more of a pleasure to be around. It's making you more productive. Nobody is going to be mad at you if you reduce or eliminate anxiety and depression. Right.
Right. And self-care is not binge watching Netflix. Self-care is not scrolling TikTok for 4 hours before you go to bed.
No.
People say, oh, that's self-care. That's not. That's actually detrimental to your mental health. And we've done plenty of episodes that talk about technology and how it overstimulates the brain and gives you a false sense of dopamine. So those are not necessarily self-care. Watching a movie with a loved one or watching a sitcom, that can be. But when you get into the excessiveness of it, that's where it becomes detrimental.
Yeah.
I was filming on the blocks last week, and it was a lot of work. There was a very tight schedule of filming these little shorts, these vignettes, doing the teaching portion, doing the coaching portion, doing the judging portion, doing the competition, all these different things. And there were 9 of us judges, or 10 of us judges. And they had all of these different things that you could sign up to do every single day. And some of them were mandatory and some of them were auxiliary. You didn't have to do them. I signed up for all of them and did everything. The only reason I was able to do that and perform, as were none of the other judges, I think, did all of them. But I was able to do that because I have a very strict self-care routine. My morning routine and my evening routine are very, very strict. So I could work in the production from 8 in the morning until about 11 o'clock at night. And that was my standard day. But my mornings were very set, where I woke up, I listened to my motivational speeches, I did my Bible study, and then I went down to the gym and I worked out, and I made my own version of the cold plunge in my bathtub. And I did that every morning. The first hour of my day was dedicated to doing my self-care routine, which then allowed me to be present and be active and be able to provide support to the entrepreneurs that were coming in.
Yeah.
So that self-care routine, just like you just said, it helps us be more productive and a better friend, a better coworker, if we are taking care of ourselves first.
Yeah. And we're gonna give a lot more examples as the episode evolves of how we can increase our self-care in a healthy way and not a selfish way, right? Let's talk about this new advancement, Q.
Yes, but first.
Yes?
You mentioned something to me a few minutes ago off camera.
Yes?
About doing a breathing technique between counseling clients.
Yes.
And what that did for you. Tell the audience. I think it was fantastic.
Sure. So my counseling therapy sessions are about 53 minutes. And so that gives me 7 minutes to, use the facilities, get a glass of water, and just kind of reset for the next client. Right. And I was in the habit of scrolling like my funny TikToks. I have like a file folder that is funny. And there's a time and a place for that. Yes. But I decided on when was it? Friday? I had back-to-back clients all day. And I said, you know what? Today I'm going to go outside and get fresh air and do this 3-minute breathing thing that Gary Brecka, I follow him on TikTok. He's awesome. Anyways, and I was like, I'm just going to do this breathing, get some fresh air and do this breathing. So I did that, and I was way more present and alert and ready for my transitioning between clients. It was really cool to see that. And so that again is an idea of self-care. I had to take care of myself in between clients.
That's right. That's right. It's the little things that we do. It doesn't have to be some big weekend getaway. There are little tiny things you can do every single day and capture these moments that are great for self-care.
Well, just like I was telling you in pre-show too, that on Thursday, I work a little farther away from home.
Yes.
And there's like a skating rink 2 minutes away from my office. So I take a longer lunch and I go do this skating, adult skate during the lunch hours, and they play organ music. And I want to be more like, find more ways to be active, because that's good for self-care as well. Mm-hmm. But I hate running. So I'd rather skate for an hour and a half and listen to my audiobook and get some exercise and watch these adorable old people skating. There was 75-year-olds skating.
Wow.
It was so cute.
Should break a hip.
And that was self-care at its max for me. It was really cool. So I'm going to do it every Thursday.
So do you roller skate, or are you a fruit booter?
I'm a roller skater.
Okay.
Fruit booter. What's that?
You're too young. It's what we used to call the rollerbladers, fruit booters. Because it looks like they're wearing a banana. So now inline skates are different, but back in the day they were this big. They look like a giant banana.
Yeah. Okay,
so fruit boots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Banana boots would be a little better.
Yeah, I'm a Gen X. You're a millennial, so it's okay. My humor's lost on you.
Can you not laugh at him, Casey? It encourages his behavior.
Do you watch the vet dad bod?
Yes.
Love that guy.
We are recording. Wrap it up. Okay, this new advancement. Tell me about it.
TikTok is the new. No, I'm just kidding.
Vet dad bod.
So the new advancement. So this is kind of an old spin on a new advancement. And so I'm going to tell you what it is, and then I'm going to take you back to the beginning where it started and bring you right up to date. So it is, what they're using now are these chatbots that are powered by AI to help you with your self-care routine based on what you're telling it. Now, some people are like, I don't know if I trust a chatbot to tell me what I should be doing for self-care or regulating my emotions, things like that, which I totally understand. But I want to put your mind at ease when it comes to these chatbots and the algorithms that they use and the predictive analytics that are designed and how they give you the response they give you. So this is something that has been used for a couple of decades now. It's called a decision tree. So when you call in, now we call it telehealth, but it was even there before it was called telehealth, where you could call in, and I'm a janitor in these big hospital systems. And so I've seen these for the last at least 20 years. They're call centers that have nurses inside. And so you can call up, post surgery or post care and say, hey, my wound is looking like this, or I'm feeling this kind of way. What should I do to stop that person from having to come back into the emergency room and tying up the emergency room when it could be something very, very simple? Or they could say, yes, that's serious, come in right away. Mm-hmm. And so they have these nurses, RNs in this room in a call center. Somebody can call in, ask questions, tell them what's going on. And the nurse has a decision tree. And so it's a book. And when they ask a question, they get an answer. Depending on what the answer is, it drives them to the next question in the decision tree. And that drives them to the next one and to the next one and the next one, and so on until they get to the end result.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So some of it is some human interaction where they've got to be able to ask the right questions and then, move down the decision tree. But this is something that's been happening for a very long time. Patient intake forms is the same way. When people are going to see a doctor for the first time, you have somebody there charting you or over the phone charting you, and they're going through a decision tree, asking you questions and then moving you farther down the path, depending on the questions and how you answer the questions, just a decision tree. What they've done with these chat AI bots, and I know because I build them now, you have to create the decision tree. If somebody gives this answer, you've got 4 answers. If they give answer A, then they go to this pathway. And then they give answer C, and then they go to this pathway. When I build out these chatbots, I'm telling it based on these words, these phrases, these answers, I want you to weight these and then move the individual to this next set of questions and on down the line. I use this for marketing as well. When people come into my marketing funnel, I don't know if they need personal coaching, business coaching, mental health coaching. I don't know if they want to attend one of my free seminars, if they want to do a paid seminar, if they want to go to a mental health retreat. Now, I could spend 20 minutes on the phone figuring all this out, which I do, or I can put them through the decision tree. And then an appointment gets set automatically with me. And now, before I even speak to the individual, I see the answers to the questions that they gave and how they arrived at whichever product or service that they want.
Right.
And so then I can tailor my conversation to the specific needs of that individual. That's what these chat AI bots are doing to help people with their self-care routine, to get connected to resources, to utilize different resources that may be inside the technology or that are available to them. So if you come across these AI chatbots, don't just dismiss them. They're actually really good. And there's a human behind it that designed the decision tree that the technology is using. And all they're trying to do is get you to the most appropriate care as quickly as possible. It's not a substitute for therapy. It's not a substitute for your doctor. It's just to get you to that individual faster and give your healthcare provider or mental health care provider the data they need so they can already start working up a plan for you for success.
You know, my automatic thought goes straight to the stupid automatic when you call in customer service. Like, where would you like to call for this or this or this?
Yes.
Or this? And I end up saying, agent, agent, over and over again. And I want to physically hurt somebody.
I think so. Is our tool for our toolbox anger management today, Jess?
For Jess, yes. No.
So I agree. It can be incredibly annoying and frustrating.
But that's not a medical chat box.
Right. Because it didn't hear you. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's people's apprehension on this thing, which is true.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I understand it completely. But this is a little bit different. It's more intuitive. It uses language AI models. I mean, if you haven't used AI yet, ChatGPT or Midjourney or anything like that, you are living in the Stone Age. You got to check this stuff out. It is amazing. And it's going to help you because this stuff is not going away. So you have to really learn it. Think about this.
With it.
Think about if you have grandparents or maybe even great grandparents that refuse to use the YouTubes. Or
the YouTube.
or they refuse, they think that they're going to use up all of the internet.
Yeah.
Right? These are things that my grandmother would tell me. Oh,
sweetheart.
Aaron, I've used up all the internet. I'm like, no, grandma, the battery is dead. You got to plug it back in.
Have I maxed out my calling minutes?
Yes, right? You remember that?
My phone's not working. Have I maxed out my call minutes?
Yes. For you younger people, like the older people are laughing, but the younger people are like, what are you talking about? Yes, you used to have to buy minutes on your phone, like Boost Mobile. Okay. Yeah. But that was standard everywhere.
Yeah. Like 75 minutes was like what it came with. And then you had to buy more.
You had to buy more. And then after 9 o'clock, it was free. So then everybody would be calling their friends after 9 o'clock.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these chat bots are great, but like I said, it's not a replacement. It's just to help you get to solutions much, much faster. You're going to see a lot more of this as you go through. Go on a product website. Like I have these on my product websites where after a few minutes, if somebody is kind of stalling out on my website, they haven't engaged in a moment, you can tell they're kind of stuck in the pathway that we've created on the webpage because we don't just put up a web page, but we design exactly a pathway for people to follow to understand, our products and services. And if they get stuck in one area too long and they haven't moved on to the next section, the chatbot will automatically pop up and ask them a question based on where they're stuck and how we can move them to the next part of the buying experience.
That definitely takes more than 25 watts of brain power to be able to create something like that.
So you're saying I have 50 watts?
Yeah, you have more. Maybe I'm stuck at 25.
But these things are really, really great. So when you see these things pop up, when you see the apps, when your doctor suggests that you use one of these things, give it a try. It was designed by people who are professionals in this space, and it's just to help you get to the resources much quicker.
Yeah. All right. You want to move into our scripture?
Yes. Okay. So the difference again between self-care and selfishness. And so let's get into some biblical references about that. So I found two really good, there were a lot of scripture verses for this.
Yeah.
But I found two really good ones. First one is Mark 1:35, and the second one is Mark 6:31 and 32. Okay, so it says, and in the morning, rising up a great while before day, he went out and departed to a solitary place, and there he prayed. So it talks about Jesus even getting up and getting away from the people, away from the disciples to a solitary place where he could pray, part of his morning routine, his self-care routine. So Jesus models this for us, that he does this. And you see this throughout scripture. He does this multiple times. Even in the garden before he was going to go to the crucifixion, he did the same thing. So this is a self-care routine that Jesus is modeling for us.
And in our faith, we believe that Jesus was 100% God and 100% man. And so his fleshly self needed that self-care. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. Okay, so the next one is 6:31. Yeah, Jesus still had the same thoughts, feelings, and emotions that we all go through. He was not absolved of all of those, having to deal with that. That's part of the human experience. Yeah. And so he had to walk through all of that. And people may argue with me, and it's fine. You're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. In the garden, Jesus, it says that he was under so much stress that he was sweating blood. And when you look, this is a real thing that happens to people. It still happens today when they're under a tremendous amount of psychological stress. It happens more often with soldiers who've been in sustained combat for long periods of time. There's so much pressure that the blood vessels, the capillaries inside their forehead will burst and it will come out of their sweat glands. They will literally be sweating blood. And so you can see Jesus before he's going to the crucifixion, he is under a tremendous amount of psychological pressure. He's literally sweating blood. And we can see that happen today.
One of the original words as I was studying that moment he had was, and Jesus agonized. And I'm like, that is a really good word to explain that those of us with PTSD, especially soldiers, can relate to that word agonizing. Sometimes you can't even put a word to the pain that you feel in your soul other than agonizing, right? So it's nice for me to be able to relate to Jesus in that feeling. Not that I have experienced anything Jesus has, but I can relate to the word agonizing.
So in Mark 6:31 and 32, it says this. So first he modeled it, and then he's teaching this same thing to his disciples. In Mark 6:31, it says, and he said, it says this, and he said unto them, come ye yourselves apart into a desert place, and rest a while. For there are many coming and going, and they had no leisure, so much as to eat. 32. And they departed and went to a desert place, so a solitary place, a place where nobody else was, by ship privately. And the people saw them departing, and many knew him, and they ran afoot thither out of all the cities. Afoot thither. This is
King James.
This is King James. So they ran after him. Afoot thither. I'm going to try and work that into as many conversations as I can. Oh my goodness.
And out
went them and came together unto him. So they were chasing after him. They saw that Jesus and the disciples were leaving to go to a solitary place to find rest and pray and eat.
By ship privately.
Yes, by ship privately.
That's a boundary they set.
That's right. Yeah, it was a very physical boundary.
Yes.
Like we are on a boat and we're floating away because we need some time to rest because these throngs of people were coming to see Jesus and the disciples.
Yeah.
So right there, Jesus models it where he goes out and he finds a solitary place to find rest and pray. And then he teaches that to his disciples, says, come with me. Yeah. Let's go to this desert place, this solitary place where we can be alone. We can eat, rest, and pray.
Yeah. My scripture is one that I use on a regular basis with some of the moms that I counsel, because moms tend to struggle with this idea of self-care because they hold so much responsibility in their hands of taking care of other people. And so the scripture I use is Mark 12. It's funny that we both were in Mark. Mark was all about self-care.
He really was.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Mark 12:30-31 is this very popular verse where it says, and this is Jesus, and you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your strength. The second, right, this is because somebody asked him, hey, what is the most important? And Jesus is responding with what is the most important. So then in verse 31, it says, and second is equally important, love your neighbor as yourself. It doesn't say love your neighbor more than yourself. It says love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these. And scripture often relates husbands. Also in Ephesians 5, it says love your wife as Christ loved the church. But he also says love your wife as your own body. And it really simplifies that we can't love others fully and completely until we love ourselves fully and completely. And I don't know if you can I was talking with a client this last week, and it's a couples counseling, and she's really struggling respecting her husband because he has no respect for himself. He lets his family walk all over him. And he doesn't say, hey, no, I'm not going to accept that. And she's noticed that naturally it's began a kind of a downward spiral of her losing respect for him. And she said, told me, I'm understanding how important it is. In order to earn respect from other people, we have to have that respect for ourselves. And it's true. If I were to look back on my life and see one of the most naturally attractive things for a man in a woman is confidence. Mm-hmm. And confidence is I love myself, not in a cocky or egotistical way, but it's like, hey, I want to wear these overalls. They make me look fat. I don't care. I'm going to rock them. Like a man is like, hey, she's rocking that. I like that. I don't know. It's just like that confidence of I am okay with who I am and where. And I'm obviously constantly self-evaluating to grow too. Okay. But there's just a certain amount of respect and love that we can give to other people when we start within ourselves. And we talked in the pre-show about this and how this word picture is overused. But I think it's important because there is some people that haven't heard it, and it's overused for a reason because it's a perfect example. And that is the oxygen masks in the airplane. And it literally says, make sure you put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then assist others. Because if you pass out trying to put your oxygen mask on one kid, you're going to pass out and not be able to help the other kid. But if you put yours on first, you can help your kids and other people's kids, right? And so you had a really good analogy from the military too.
Yeah, in the military, everybody gets an IFAK, an individual first aid kit. And you carry this. This is for when you get injured to use on yourself, or you have a buddy use your med kit on you. But you never use your med kit on your buddy, because then you won't have it when you need it. There's a limited amount of supplies, and it's just for you, not for other people. So think about your med kit, your morning routine, your mental health.
Yeah, that's good.
Your self-care kit. What is your self-care kit? What are the things that you do in your life that are self-care? For you, it's become this roller skating.
Yeah.
So don't give away that time to somebody else when they're like, oh, hey, can you help me? I don't know, go walk my dog, or go help me.
That's self-care for me too. I love dogs.
So let's not use dogs.
That's funny. It's funny that you said that, because I actually did block out my lunch for the next couple weeks, and I've slowly been putting people in it because they need counseling.
Yeah,
so
no. See,
Sgt Q said no. Sorry, I have to skate.
That's right.
With the old folks.
You got to skate with the old people, because now you're giving away your medical supplies to somebody else, and it's not going to be there when you need it. You're not going to have enough mental fortitude to be able to help the next 10 clients in crisis. If you sacrifice that time for one person, you're going to make it really difficult to service the next 10.
Yeah.
So you have to take care of yourself first.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you.
And since you're a medic, you understand it.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, let's get into our tool.
Yes, this
What
is
do
the
you
fun
think?
part.
50% of Americans say that they or a loved one have suffered from mental health crisis. Together, we can change all that. Introducing Q Actual, a revolutionary new peer-to-peer based mobile application. Personalized to fit your lifestyle, with pinpoint GPS location in times of emergency. Connecting you to your care provider. With Q Actual, we will move you forward. Download Q Actual now and visit qactual.com.
Okay, so Aaron, really this is just a fun way to do some inventory on the self-care that we're currently doing. Why are you looking at me like that?
This is the fun part. It's fun for you.
Did I say that or you said that?
You said that. So this is the fun part.
No, we're not going to do a counseling session. We're just going to go over the tool. So relax.
Okay, here we go.
Because another thing that's important is setting your intention for the self-care, because there could be some things you're already doing that is self-care, but it's not registering in your cognitive connection that it's self-care. And even if you just say, hey, like if you already work out every day, setting that intention before and saying, hey, I'm doing this for myself. It's subconsciously putting a notch in, I took care of myself today. And so sometimes we have to learn, there are some things that we're doing for self-care that we just need to connect and register that it's self-care. So this little assessment, it's just kind of cool for individual use to figure out. The instructions are, please rate how frequently or how well you engage in different self-care activities. There are no wrong or right answers. So it's going to be 1 through 7. 1 is I rarely or never do this. 2, I do this occasionally. 3, I do this regularly, but there's room for improvement. 4, I do this consistently. 5, I do this exceptionally well. 6 is I would like to improve in this area. 7 is I would like to do this more consistently. So in this self-care assessment, we're just going to rate 1 through 7, and I explained what those were. So physical self-care is things such as nourish my body with healthy foods. 1 through 7. Attend my personal hygiene. 1 through 7. He's a 7.
Wait, what was 7 again? I need to be more consistent.
I would like to do this more consistently. Or a 6. I would like to improve in this area. Or 1. I rarely or never do this.
What is this scale? This is weird.
It's ChatGPT. We'll change this rating, okay? But this is a good concept. We'll change the rating before we air this. All right. So engage in regular physical activity. Dress in a way that boosts my self-confidence, but doesn't make you look like a harlot. Can I say that? Not you.
Oh.
Nasty. Eat meals at regular intervals. Participate in enjoyable physical activities such as walking, swimming, dancing, skating. Ensure I get enough restful sleep, keeping up with preventative medical appointments, allow myself to rest and recover when I'm unwell. That's physical self-care, right? So none of those are selfish things.
No, and there's one, like for me, physical self-care as far as like working out and doing those types of things. Eating healthy, I've always tried to do that. Working out, not so much. It's probably like maybe a 2. I don't really focus a whole lot on it. But what changed my mind, and I am super focused on what I'm eating and my physical fitness, has nothing to do with being fat. I've been overweight, about 20, 25 pounds overweight for a while. And I've been trying to lose it. And it hasn't been a super priority. So there's always something else that gets in the way. However, I'm on a whole new trajectory and I'm super motivated because I set a goal. And the goal is next April, me and a small team, we are going to hike through the largest cave in the world, the Sun Dong Cave in Vietnam. It's a 6-day trek through this cave. It's a level 6, which is the highest level of caving experience you can do. And you have to do a physical examination. There's a questionnaire. You have to show them photos of where you hike. So every time I go hiking, I have to show them photos, show them the trail map to make sure you're in top physical condition to be able to complete this expedition. Now I have a goal and I'm super motivated I was hiking this morning. I went and hiked Mount Peak this morning and then jumped in the cold plunge because I want to be ready to have this incredible experience. Do you know they only let 1,000 people a year go through this cave? Only 1,000 people a year get to go through it.
Who are you doing it with?
Oh, it's going to be me, Jay, Jesse, Holly, and Mariah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Sounds fun.
It's and you're living and camping in the cave for 6 days. You're walking all the way. This thing is huge. Go look at it. It's called the Sundong Cave. Casey will put a link and maybe a photo. It is huge. You could stack the Empire State Building in the side of this thing. It's huge.
Oh my gosh.
And so for 6 days, we'll be trekking through next April. So now I have a goal, I'm super motivated, and I'm making a lot of headway because now I have a goal. As before, the goal was like, oh, I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
But now there's something exciting.
Yeah.
I'm all about it, which goes back to our goal setting from a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So I'm just going to pull out a couple of other examples for psychological, emotional self-care. So taking breaks from work, school, or other obligations. So for me, in between those clients, doing that breathing exercise, that is a form of self-care for me. Engage in hobbies or activities that you enjoy. Overall, psychological and emotional self-care. It says to rate yourself. And then we're going to walk into social self-care. Spending quality time with the people you care about. Stay in touch with distant friends or family. Participate in enjoyable activities with friends and loved ones. There's a lot more. So it's just... Then we're going to talk about spiritual self-care. So one of them, spend time in natural settings. So going on hikes and stuff like that. For us, self-care is going to church, being a part of our community, which is going to be nice because we're going to have a special guest about how important that is, being the ark.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Engage in activities that support causes I believe in. Overall spiritual self-care, and then professional self-care. Enhance my professional skills and knowledge. So when I went through Q's 15 laws of growth, that was self-care because I took time to improve my professional standing, and those kinds of things are natural, healthy dopamine hits, right? And that's a part of self-care. Take on projects that are fulfilling and align with my interests. Take regular breaks during work hours and maintain healthy work-life balance. And I think one of these days we're going to talk about that too. Healthy.
I'm not really good at the work-life balance.
Oh, I know. That's going to be a really fun episode to do with you.
I want to be the best at what I do. And if I'm going to be the best, then I can't be in balance.
You cannot.
80% of my time has to be spent on 20%, which is what I want to accomplish. So
maybe we'll bring your wife in for that one.
She'll tell you the same thing.
I know.
Like work-life balance. So for most people, sure. But for people like me, work-life balance is I work all the time, but I'm not always working. So I do take breaks in there and I do take time off, but it's not uncommon for me to work until 6 o'clock at night, go home, eat dinner, and then put a couple more hours in of writing a speech or doing research or building out different chatbot campaigns or decision trees. That's not uncommon. And we do that as a family, which because we all work together, it helps. In our life, from the outside looking at it, you say, oh, that's not balanced. But then there's other times where we just check out and we go to Cambodia for 3 weeks.
Sure.
And nobody sees or hears from us.
Yeah.
So there are those types of things that we do as well.
Yeah. Cool. Well, today was fun. Don't forget to subscribe and like our videos.
Yes, like and subscribe. Share it with some friends. Check out the shorts. Casey works really hard at building out these shorts where you'll find them on TikTok. You'll find them on YouTube, on Facebook Reels. They're super fun and it helps us gain traction and get this messaging out to other people.
Casey said something about a thumbs up.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs up.
Oh, yes. Give us the thumbs up. Because as always, we really strive to educate, empower, and encourage you on your mental health journey. So for the Mental Health Janitors, I'm Sgt Q.
I'm Doc Jess, and we're out.